aujourd'hui, c'est certain.
This area is dedicated to St. Michael. When I was growing up, and years before me, the 40s and 30s and 20s, St. Michael's was one of the big saints in this church. We had a big feast, and these pictures show the 30s feast. Now this specific picture is very important. During the feast, as the procession made its way around, they used to have young girls dressed as angels strung across the street. And what they would do is they would move. The fun was that one year they got stuck up there, and they had to take a hard time getting them down. What happened is, most recently, a few of us went to Father G and said, we want to bring back St. Michael. So now we have a St. Michael Society. We've had a couple of events each year. Hopefully this year and next we'll have a full-blown feast. It comes around September 29th, the same thing. This picture, that's Rocky Marciano, only undefeated world champion boxing heavyweight, President Dwight Eisenhower, and Joe DiMaggio, greatest ball player ever. And this was given to Monsignor Granada by Marciano's brother, Lou Marciano. This is Mother Teresa. She came to Newark a while back, when she was alive, of course, and she didn't come to St. Lucie, but her sisters are at St. Augustine's Parish, right around the corner. And Father Granada and the Newark police and a lot of people went to see her. So I decided to put her picture up. Not only because of the fact she's Mother Teresa, but because we have a connection to her. As you know, St. Lucie's is the national shrine of St. Gerard Maiella in the United States. This section here in the museum is dedicated strictly to St. Gerard Maiella. He was a young man who endured a lot of trials and tribulations. They said he was too sick to be a priest, so they made him a brother of the Redemptionist Order. He died at 27 years old, but his miracles and the idea of his person spread far and wide. These are very important areas because these are very old. That's from 1910, a poster of St. Gerard. This picture here is from 1905 that someone found in an antique store and gave to us. These books tell us his life in the Church of St. Lucie, and they come from the 1920s. These medals are old, placed old, the other books, so this is all old stuff, really old, dedicated to St. Gerard. Where the other stuff also has very old stuff. Some of it is newer, and the medals are old. That's why we keep them in glass cases, because they have to be protected. On the walls of each side are various pictures of St. Gerard and the people who that's him doing one of his miracles up on the top. And if you pan to your left, you get a close-in view over here. That's how St. Gerard is in Italy, at Matrodome, where he was born and raised and did most of his going into the area. That's at the Shrine of St. Gerard in Matrodome, Italy. That's how his body is in a glass case, preserved. In Italy, the area that most of the people who settled in this area of Newark came from this province, Avellino, which is above Naples. Okay? And in Italian they call it a paese. You know, like what county you're from or what area, a paese. I myself am two of these, because my mother was born and raised in a place called Deode, which is in the Avellino. It's a little village in the hill. Okay? And this area here is further shown. And this is the area where there's Deode, there's Capocel, Galabrito. This is where St. Gerard did most of his work in pilgrimages. Matrodome is right in the hills between Capocel, and Theo, and that's where his shrine is. This was our original exhibit when we first opened up the museum. This photo is very famous. It was in the Italian Tribune, and it's an aerial photo of what the first ward looked like in 1942. As you can see, houses, shops, even a police department, and this is the center of it, St. Lucy's Church, where you're at now. And this was settled by 40 to 50,000, mostly Italian immigrants. And this is what it looked like until urban renewal. And they put projects up and this neighborhood disappeared basically. And that's the start of it. The pictures as we go along are views of various old ward pictures, how it used to look. This one here shows some building. We used to have this is very interesting. In the old days they had a bath house. Now a bath house is where you went to take a bath. Most of the buildings in the ward were they called cold water flats. They had no hot water. So for a nickel you get a towel and a piece of soap and you go to the bathhouse and you wash. That was the police department in the first ward. The second precinct. This is what the ward looked like. Various pictures. This is what they call the Italian Catholic Union. You're right now in the community center. That replaced the Italian Catholic Union, which was built in the 20s and 30s by Italian immigrants for community events. All right? As we go along, this one here shows various people in the ward. This is very interesting. This building here was called the Victoria Castle. It was the home of a man called Richie the Boot Gerard. He was the godfather, mafioso, the head man. All the movies that you see today, they patterned him after Richie the Boot Gerard. This was his place. For weddings, and in front of it is a famous fighter called 2-Ton Tony Galento. He used to train on beer, and in a famous fight, he knocked Jack Dempsey, the reigning champ, out, and then Jack got up and knocked him out. But that shows certain areas of what the ward looked like at certain times. This is interesting also for this picture here and this picture. They are bakeries. At one time, there were over 100 bakeries in this area, Italian bakery. The water in Newark was great. Baking is great. This one's a famous one, Giordano, which is no longer there. Its main customer was a guy named Frank Sinatra. That's where he got his bread. He would only eat his bread. When he lived in California, Frank, every week they would send loaves of bread out to Frank Sinatra. So this is a very famous Giordano, which is no longer there. One of the big things in the old ward were clubs, what we call today social clubs or athletic clubs. And there were literally 50, 60, 70 clubs. Abadabba Club, Club Rainier, Club Wonder, Club Commodore. And it's where the guys got together, drank soda, played cards, talked, and just got, stayed with their friends in the different clubs. They also had sometimes teams like softball teams and things like that. But we had a lot of clubs. And it goes back to the turn of the century when the immigrants start coming in this neighborhood. This is a view of St. Lucy's at its heyday, almost a 1942 picture. As you can see, there were houses right up next to it all over. That's the new St. Lucy's. A little way down, we're going to show the old St. Lucy's. This is the old St. Lucy's, wooden structure, closed and was destroyed in 1925 for the new structure. That was the original one. And this is the groundbreaking for the new St. Lucy's. This is groundbreaking for the building you're in now. This is more just activities, baseball, CY baseball team, drum and bugle corps, various processions from the church leading back and forth. Always had music, drum and bugle corps, big processions for every type of event we ever had. Now we only have it for the feast in October for St. Gerard, but we still go around all the streets. This is the Society of the Saints and the Feast, specifically St. Gerard. Years ago they used to have more, but this shows various views of people involved in the saints years ago. This is a close-up of what happens during the feast. Each store, each house displays statues and money, and when the saint comes around, they pin money on them. And I'll show you a picture over there so you can zoom in on that, or what it looks like when he has all the money on it. It's a sign of devotion. The church gets that money and basically uses it for its bills throughout the year. This is a sign of St. Gerard at night. And as I was saying, you see how the money is on him? That's what it looks like at night. When the area is decorated. This is a scene of the 20s and 30s, various businesses. Bicycle shop, a restaurant, a bar, a bakery. This is what it looked like, because literally in the whole neighborhood there were shops, stores, bakeries beside the houses. They didn't have malls in those days, so everything was individual. There was grocery stores, might have been 2 or 3 on a block, the butcher shop, the chicken shop. You could get everything. Here we have what's known as a precipio. The French call it a creche. Italians call it a precipio. Basically what it is, it's the nativity scene, the birth of Christ, surrounded by a fanciful view of an Italian village in a hillside. This specific precipio took over 50 years in doing it. All of the figures and the things you see are from Italy. They're very valuable. It's done by our current deacon, Louis Lafredo. You also have one of these every Christmas season in the church, which is over 100 years old. Not the same one, but it's 100 years old, and we display that during Christmas time, from roughly December to the end of January. These figures, it took them 40 years, 50 years to compile. Going to Italy, bringing them back, building the houses, doing everything himself. But it's a beautiful display, with waterfall, with fountain. St. Lucy's had a rich tradition of music, dating back to the 1920s when the Monsignor formed a Holy Name band for the Holy Name parades. He then formed a drum and bugle, drum and fife corps, then a drum, fife and bugle corps, and that lasted up until the 70s. In 1968, they won the United States National Championship. During my lifetime, the moderator was Father Nativo, who was here over close to 50 years, and besides having the drum and bugle corps, he also had the Guard of Honor, he was the coordinator of the choir, he was the coordinator of the Holy Name Society, he was the coordinator of the CYO. So he did a lot of things for the church, and he was a great man. If you want to pan on this drum here, this is a very old drum. We used to have a guy here named Dookie. Dookie used to be a master drummer, he used to teach it, play it. That drum he used to use during various Revolutionary War battle reenactments, and we were fortunate to keep the drum here. That's one of the oldest drums, probably worth a lot of money. But as you see, various pictures of the drum and bugle corps from different eras, going back to the 20s, right up to the 70s.